For years, fans speculated. Whispers turned into theories, and every shared glance or subtle smile between Lee Junho and Yoona sent the internet into a frenzy. But behind the polished red carpet appearances and flawless performances, there was a secret the world had yet to uncover. And now, after 4 long years of silence, the truth has finally come out. Before we dive into the emotional confession that left fans speechless, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this love story is far from ordinary, and it's one you don't want to miss. It started with chemistry, not just on-screen chemistry, but a palpable energy between them that couldn't be faked. When Junho and Yoona were first paired together, fans immediately noticed something different. The way they looked at each other, the way they laughed a little too easily, and the way their comfort seemed to radiate beyond the script. They were professionals, of course, but sometimes, even the most seasoned actors can't hide real emotion. Behind the scenes, the bond between them grew naturally. At first, it was innocent. Late-night rehearsals, casual texts about upcoming shoots, small gestures that turned into inside jokes. But with time, friendship quietly evolved into something much deeper. Still, neither of them said a word. Not to the media, not to friends, and definitely not to fans. Why? That's the question that had lingered for years. Why keep such a powerful love hidden? Why let the world believe they were just colleagues when their hearts were already intertwined? It wasn't until a joint interview released just days ago that Junho and Yoona finally decided it was time to reveal everything. And what they shared brought both tears and admiration from fans all over the world. In the exclusive sit-down, filmed in a quiet studio with no audience and minimal lights, the couple sat side by side, hands gently touching, smiles nervous but genuine. Junho began by taking a deep breath, looking at Yoona for reassurance before speaking. "We've been holding on to this for a long time," he said softly, "and it's not because we didn't want people to know. It's because we wanted to protect it." Yoona nodded, adding, "When something is that important to you, you become afraid, not of the love, but of what the world might do to it." It was clear their relationship had blossomed in private for a reason. For years earlier, both of them were at pivotal points in their careers. Junho was climbing to new heights as both an idol and an actor, while Yoona was navigating solo success after years in Girls' Generation. They were under constant scrutiny, every move analyzed by fans and critics alike. Junho explained, "We didn't want the relationship to be a distraction, for ourselves or for our fans. And we knew the second it became public, it would stop being ours." They spoke candidly about the pressures of fame, how even going on a quiet date required intense planning and secrecy. There were no late-night coffee runs or spontaneous getaways. Everything had to be calculated, different cars, disguises, distant meeting spots. But despite all of that, they made it work. "There were times I wish we could just walk hand in hand down the street," Yoona confessed, "not having to worry about cameras or what people would say. But I also knew that what we had was real, and that was enough for me." She smiled as she said it, and Junho reached over to squeeze her hand. Their 4-year journey wasn't without hardship. There were moments of doubt, moments where the burden of secrecy weighed too heavy. Friends who guessed the truth were sworn to silence, and every public interaction between them had to be carefully controlled. "We got really good at pretending," Junho said with a bittersweet chuckle. "On stage, during events, we'd stand apart. We had to act like strangers when we were anything but what kept them going, through all the secrecy and sacrifice, was the strength of their connection. Every stolen moment behind closed doors reminded them why it was worth it." Then came the turning point. A few months ago, Junho was asked during an interview about his ideal type. Without skipping a beat, he had smiled and said, "Someone who makes me feel like I'm home." The internet exploded, wondering if he had someone specific in mind. What no one realized was that Yoona had been sitting just off camera, watching with tears in her eyes. That was when they began to question if the time had come to step out of the shadows. "We weren't afraid anymore," Yoona said, "because after everything we've been through, the distance, the hiding, the pressure, we realized our love had survived it all, and it deserved to be shared." Their decision to go public wasn't made lightly. They consulted with family, close friends, and their agencies. They knew there would be backlash, judgment, Even disappointment from fans who had idolized their individual images. But they also believed it was time to live honestly. In the days leading up to the interview release, they had quietly prepared fans through subtle hints. Matching accessories, shared playlists, and cryptic captions on Instagram. Little breadcrumbs that loyal supporters quickly picked up on. And when the video finally dropped, it was as if the entire world paused to listen. Fans didn't just react, they celebrated. Social media lit up with messages of support, fan art, and emotional tributes to the couple who had given them not just entertainment, but inspiration. Hashtag Junho Forever trended globally, with millions expressing joy that their love had finally been given a voice. But perhaps the most touching moment of the interview came near the end, when the host asked what they had learned about each other after 4 years of loving in silence. Junho turned to Yoona, eyes soft. I learned that she's stronger than I ever knew. She never complained, never asked me to risk my career or change for her. She just loved me, quietly, patiently, completely. Yoona looked down, visibly emotional. And I learned that he's the kind of man who chooses love, even when it's hard. Who never let me feel alone, even when the world didn't know we were together. They shared a smile, and for a brief moment, the studio fell silent. It wasn't a fairy tale. It wasn't a flashy, scandal-filled romance. It was real, it was quiet, and it was powerful. In the aftermath of their confession, fellow celebrities and industry insiders came forward with their own words of support. Some admitted they had known for a while, but respected the couple's wishes for privacy. Others shared how Junho and Yoona's love had inspired them to believe in lasting connections, even in an industry known for breakups and fleeting headlines. Even their agencies released heartfelt statements, thanking fans for their understanding and pledging full support for the couple moving forward. As for what comes next, Junho and Yoona aren't rushing anything. They've made it clear that their focus remains on their careers and each other. They still value their privacy, but now feel free to walk side by side in public. Not as a rumor, but as a couple who made it through 4 years of hiding and came out stronger than ever. And while they haven't spoken of marriage yet, fans are already imagining what that moment might look like. Because if there's one thing Junho and Yoona have proven, it's that love doesn't need to shout to be heard. Sometimes the quietest love is the most enduring of all. So, as their love story continues, now out in the open, now embraced by millions, it serves as a reminder that patience, trust, and loyalty still matter. That real love isn't always loud, but when the time is right, it speaks volumes. And for Lee, Junho, and Yoona, the world is finally listening.